Welcome to SEC Football Live here on a Tuesday. That is Trey Wallace of Outkick / Fox Sports / News Corp. I am Braden Gall, and we are brought to you by Tennessee Brew Works, Yazoo Brewing Company, and East Nashville Beer Works. Go have a good local beer. It's really not that much to ask. It's good for your health, and it's good for your community. It's good for your neighbors. Go have a beer. Go have a beer. Trey, good afternoon. How are you?
It is what it is. I'm
That's
good.
right.
Like the hat says, it is what it is.
Well, and if it's on a hat, you got to listen. Like,
right. No, it's good, man. I had a nice blood withdrawal today.
what?
Which was great. Yeah. I had to go.
All right.
It is what it is. Got some stuff done.
Are you feeling? They check under the hood? Is that what happened?
No, they didn't check. I've had that done last year. No,
okay.
You even got the little thingamajigger that comes with
okay.
it.
All right. You're a hero. You're a
hero. I'm a hero. No. Just a health check on some things, see how that goes. And other than that, there's stuff going on in Washington. There's stuff going on next week in Destin.
So we get a lot of people complaining about, you don't talk enough football. And I like to talk about everything.
Okay.
I like to talk about everything. I love palace intrigue inside athletic department walls. I love booster drama. I love congressional attempts to solve the problem, sure to go terribly wrong, which is happening. But I also love looking at the 6 new coaches in the conference, trying to set some expectations around those 6 programs. I think expectations are as usual, way too high for almost all of them. So, and I think a few could overachieve. So we'll see. I like all the hires mostly, but I thought we could set some expectations based on schedule, talent, and first year turnaround for some of these programs. And expectations for Kiffin are off the charts. Ole Miss off the charts. Florida, we'll see. Auburn, Arkansas, Kentucky. So we're going to talk about all 6 of those teams today on the show. First, I am going to ask you about what is going on. A quick update on what's happening with Congress. I will say first and foremost, though, while you're drinking good local craft beer, Tennessee Brew Works, one of the best meals you'll ever have. If you come downtown Nashville and you come visit our city, which many people will be doing in February of 2030. If you come visit our city, you're going to want a good local craft beer. And I'm downtown, Tennessee Brew Works, one of the best meals you'll ever have, and the beer is spectacular. It's right there next to Third Man Records, right there in downtown. So when you come for the Super Bowl, Trey, in 2030, which, by the way, the NFL tweeted it out today, and they did not cite their sources. We reported it on my show 2 weeks ago and said, no, it's official. We have confirmed the Dan Patrick report. And the NFL didn't cite my company, my little tiny Nashville company. Trey.
No, they're not going to give you any attribution for your stuff. And by the way,
NFL,
if you're going to Nashville for the Super Bowl in 2030, I promise there'll probably be about 10,000 more Airbnbs for you to rent. Since
no.
They can't rent them now. So
we passed some legislation on that.
Congrats, because the places are empty downtown. Trust me, as somebody that knows.
Downtown Airbnbs or hotels?
Airbnb hotel, like Airbnbs.
Gotcha.
Airbnb.
Well, they're just not allowing any new Airbnb properties.
Thank God.
That's all. Yeah, that's all.
The building I usually stay in is empty.
As someone who lives about 2.5 miles from the Titan Stadium, I appreciate that there are less Airbnbs in my neighborhood. I do appreciate that, which makes me an old dad who's like, get off my lawn, slow down while you're driving on my street, kind of vibes,
Yeah, but that's what they get when they tried to put up about 80,000 of them during COVID. So that's a whole.
That's true. That's true. All right. So
you asked about things going on in Washington.
Well, I want to ask about that in a second. I just want to, Nashville, congratulations. Here's the college football angle to the Super Bowl.
It's coming too, by the way.
This is what I'm going to say. So, again, I have been saying February of 2030 on every single show for over a year. Mm-hmm. And it's based on a lot of information, based on a lot of conversations and a lot of digging. And what I have been under the impression is that the college football national championship will happen before a second Super Bowl.
Yes.
So if you look at Nashville wants to get into the rotation of the Super Bowl, which is going to happen, but it's probably more like an every 8 or 10 or 12 year thing, not an every 5 or 6 or 7 year thing.
Great.
But if it goes off well, which traditionally events do in this town, then the college football national championship game, which will be different than the Music City Bowl. The Music City Bowl wants to elevate itself into the New Year's Six playoff conversation, and if there's an expanded playoff, it's absolutely going to be the one of many that gets elevated into more neutral site playoff games. But that is not the same thing as the college football national championship game, which will be played in the same building 2.5 weeks later.
It's like the Orange Bowl and the CFP title game.
That's right. And my guess is going to be, I would guess, like, I don't know how far out they've scheduled it right now. Is it 2032, 34? I don't know how far they've scheduled it.
Because I was told that the CFP committee asked the city of Nashville to put together a proposal for them to be able to host once this current rotation ends. That's why I'm saying Nashville will get a CFP title game by 32.
The question is how much construction. The reason the Super Bowl is coming in 30 is because as soon as the Super Bowl leaves, immediately a bunch of construction has to immediately kickstart again, because you have to pause all that to host a big giant game. So to host the Super Bowl, you have to pause construction for about 4 months, which is an enormous amount of construction loan dollars going down the drain. But, and when buildings start going, when the buildings start going vertical, you can't have like half-built buildings in a Super Bowl screen. So that's why they're doing it in 30. The question is going to be, what does it look like in 32, 33, 34, 35?
But when are they tearing down Titan Stadium?
So the last game of the regular season is actually the last game at Nissan Stadium is not the regular season finale. It's the second to last week.
Yeah.
Barring a home playoff game, which seems highly unlikely. They will begin dismantling it like the next day.
Okay, cool.
And they cannot detonate it, which we all wanted.
Right. Yeah. No, I wanted to see something blow up.
They can't do that because it's too close to the new one, so they have to take it down like piece by piece, which is going to take longer. So, but the new building is going to host an event, I would guess, probably in early April. And that event will be an enormous
Taylor Swift concert.
It will be an enormous country music concert that does not involve Taylor Swift.
Yeah, it'll be like Chris Stapleton and George Strait and all those.
No.
Well, who the hell else is there in country music? I swear to God, if they throw out Luke Bryan,
think younger,
Jason Aldean,
think younger,
Zach Bryan,
think younger,
Zach Bryan,
think younger.
Younger.
I do like Zach Bryan. He's one of the only mainstream.
I mean, what to do? We can't go any younger than this. Like, what is this younger crap?
Think sorority girls at Alabama. Younger.
Oh my God, Morgan
don't say that. Don't say it out loud.
Good Lord, Morgan Wallen. Oh Lord, have mercy.
It'll be interesting.
Better than Jelly Roll.
It'll be interesting to see what they do at the halftime show. But really, the story for college football fans is there will be a national championship game at the new Nissan Stadium in Nashville shortly thereafter the Super Bowl. So the question is how many years?
So Wallen's entrance will literally start on Broadway and walk all the way down.
I didn't say that's who was playing.
I know you didn't say that's who was playing, but they should just bring in Stapleton, George Strait, and be done with it. But that's just my opinion.
I mean, I would
ass bro country.
I would try to appeal from a Super Bowl standpoint. I would try, like, you can't afford. I guess they don't pay any money. You can't really, like, Taylor Swift doesn't share the stage. Beyonce doesn't really share the stage.
No.
And Dolly Parton needs to. But I would put Beyonce, Taylor, and Dolly and do like generations and diverse country music in a female body. I just think that would be like a female, like.
No, I agree. And then have Stapleton over to the side.
Tennessee whiskey. I think it'd be spectacular, but they won't do it. I think Dolly will be a part of it if I had to guess, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, we'll see. I mean, I'm happy that Nashville's getting it because man, Morgan Wallen, man. Rock on, dude.
No, he's Lord Sov is telling me I'm rocking a nice stash. So
oh yeah, well,
appreciate
good for
that.
you.
Hello, Team Ramrod.
I'm excited because of that. Because I know that the CFP is coming afterwards.
Yeah, it's coming.
And then talking with a number of folks about that. Yep. So,
and
then WrestleMania will come, and then
all the different entities. And for those that don't know, there are these entities in your city. So if you're in Atlanta or Charlotte or Indianapolis or Louisville or whatever, you have like a convention center, you have a chamber of commerce, you have people that run a sports council, you have all these different entities that are kind of all invested in this. And I have talked to almost all of them over the last 5 years about the Super Bowl, and almost all of them immediately go, oh, but we're definitely, but we're going to get a college football national championship game immediately thereafter. So that's just something for everybody to hear and know. All right, quickly update on so the SCORE Act, which was working its way through the House, has been pulled because the House is going through gerrymandering and an election season coming up. Nobody can get anything accomplished. It's basically a 50-50 split, and both sides, Republicans and Democrats, have balked at this bill for different reasons and have pulled it basically from the floor, so not going anywhere in the House. So the Senate decides, hey, we're a more sophisticated upper chamber, so we're gonna pick this up. And of course Ted Cruz from Texas, who's a Republican, and Maria Cantwell from Washington, who is a Democrat, they are working together in a bipartisan fashion to try to solve this. And there's some reporting at a semaphore saying these guys are talking pretty hot and heavy about this, and they're actually working to get it done. What do you know? What are the odds that something actually gets passed? Because, again, for those that do not remember civics class, just because a bill passes the Senate doesn't mean anything. The exact same language also has to be agreed upon and passed through the House. Thus ends your Government 101 class for the day.
Yeah, so no, I mean, this is the reason why I wrote about the Ted Cruz and Maria Cantwell legislation last week, because I knew that this was picking up steam pretty quick, and that the SCORE Act, which Greg Sankey, Tony Petitti, and a few others wanted passed, was probably not going to make it to the House floor, and there were a couple people that were going to come out essentially the day before and put a hammer on that bad boy where it didn't, and that's what happened. And at the same time, there's a reason why you are not seeing Sankey and Petitti and Charlie Baker put their names on this bipartisan legislation brought across by Cruz and Cantwell. Yes, they are close. I got off the phone with somebody on my drive home from my blood withdrawal 45 minutes ago, and they were telling me by the end of the week you should see something. Now, and by the way, that could drop while we're on here. That's how
close they are.
That's how deep they are into this. Now,
which by the way is a good thing in theory. In theory, it's a good thing as long as it doesn't result immediately in lawsuits, because one of the lines in the reporting is basically like, yeah, we think we've got progress on, years and age groups and transfer eligibility and all this other stuff. And then they're like, but we still haven't gotten anywhere on unionization and employee status. And you're like, oh shit, that's kind of the important stuff from a legal standpoint.
Well, I also think, and I'm getting a text message now, actually.
Live reporting. I love it. Let's go. How about this? You read your text and respond. I'm going to talk about Yazoo Brewing Company. How about that?
No. But I wanted to add something. So I'm adding something to that real quick before you start. About I think what's going to happen is you're going to see this bipartisan legislation come out, and then obviously going back to ethics class, you're going to have to arguing on both sides. The biggest point to me that was corresponded, best way to put it, is they got until August, and with the recess it comes up in August. And then also the biggest thing, folks out there, and I know we're not getting into politics a lot, but there's midterms, and these congressional leaders have more things to worry about than saving college sports. I'm sorry, I'm just being very honest here. That's why you saw the SCORE Act just go up in flames for the second time around. You can't stump on saving college sports. I'm sorry. So what you're seeing right now is a battle. You're seeing a battle between college football commissioners that are not Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti, and you're seeing this presidential sports committee that has Adam Silver, the Yankees president. I mean, you name it. Saban's on there. I could go on and on. They're putting their support behind the new bipartisan legislation. The problem that some people are thinking that could happen here is the media rights. And that's why you haven't seen Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti jump in on this yet and sign their names to it, because there could be an optional way to conjoin media rights where everyone can try to negotiate. You kind of see where I'm going here? Like,
yeah, okay.
Yeah. So like, that's one of the things that they are nervous about that could be added into this, where it would be optional, if let's just say the Big 12, the ACC, the new Pac-12, whatever, wanted to get together and can join their media rights and go sell them on the open market when the contracts come up. That's one of the nervous factors from the SEC and the Big Ten, which is why I haven't seen that. The other ones are simple. I mean, it's, 5 years to play 5 years. The transfer portal, you're going to get penalized once. We're going to give antitrust exemption to certain entities, but it's going to be slight. You can't go overboard with it. So that's what makes it. Sorry for that. I think that's what makes it a little bit complicated. And at the end of the day, I'll end it with this. At the end of the day, no matter what is put out this week or early next week, there are going to be arguments from a lot of different sides on it, and they're going to have to pass a lot of different stages to finally get to go and to write their name on something. And so I just feel like right now they're kind of grasping at straws. And once the SCORE Act was essentially killed again for the second time in 6 months, you knew that this other one with Ted Cruz and Cantwell had to get passed if there's going to be any type of help.
It does. And what's interesting is my long held belief around Congress getting involved is A, they're not experts on the subject matter. And B, I don't know, like the global economy is cratering and there's multiple wars and like
you spent $70 to fill up my gas tank.
Right.
Okay?
What I mean is like y'all got bigger shit going on.
Yes.
And especially in the House, which is just total chaos all the time.
Correct.
And so my thought is like, I don't trust these people to do this. A, because I don't trust them to be dedicated enough from a time standpoint or a knowledge standpoint to do this stuff. But I will say, like, as someone look, I don't care if you voted for Ted Cruz, great. Go. I'm proud of you guys. I don't have any ill will towards you whatsoever. I would never vote for that man. However, a senator from Texas, whether I disagree with him on any other issue, is irrelevant because I think a senator from Texas actually should have the actual time, energy, political capital, and knowledge of college football to actually help. And so I would assume if you're a senator from anywhere that can help with this, it's got to be Texas. It's got to be Texas. So I actually do trust Cruz on this one issue to like probably get something accomplished because his constituents, Texas football fans, they care a lot about this stuff. And so I could see some strange, you know how politics makes strange bedfellows? That's what I think is going to happen here. And I actually think the Senate could get something done. The question is whether or not the House even
there's a lot of people
has any capacity.
Texas that would love for Ted Cruz to get involved in some NCAA stuff. Which is the dumbest shit, excuse my language, in the world that Brendan Sorsby is suing the NCAA for literally, he admitted in their filing, yep, I broke all these rules. I bet on Indiana, but by the way, the NCAA is the bad guy because I've been gambling since I was 17 years old. So let's blame it on the NCAA and somehow get me eligibility next year because the district court judge in Lubbock literally has a crap load of pictures on his website throwing the guns up, and he's a Texas Tech alum. Like, this is whatever. I went off on a tangent. I shouldn't have. You brought up Texas and Ted Cruz, and that's on you. So sorry.
Yeah. So look, we'll see what happens. Do you have anything combined with this part going into Destin? Do you have any predictions? We got next week. We can talk about it. But like,
yeah, I think that Greg Sankey, Monday night, Greg Sankey's gathering with us that happens on Memorial Day. He usually gathers us around 5:00 to have a little, intro press conference. I think you're going to see a lot of fireworks out of that.
Okay.
And hear me out just real quick. For somebody that has been such a proponent for the SCORE Act, which pretty much got killed yesterday, and now you have this other legislation, I think personally he's going to come out and, he's not going to get behind it. And I'm curious to see what his thought process will be surrounding that. That's why I think, along with a myriad of other topics, you're going to see, because mind you, you're seeing it out in LA right now, because for the first time essentially ever, the Big Ten invited media out to their $5,000 a night resort for their media days, and starting to it costs like $900 a night to stay at this place. But you're seeing some stuff come out of the Big Ten, and I think the SEC is going to try to hit back in whatever way they can, because like we talked about previously, Greg Sankey is on an island by himself right now on a lot of things.
No, that's fair, but it'll be fun to react to all of this next week.
Oh yeah.
Bo says, no, Texas politicians cannot be trusted to do what's right. Only what's right for the Texas Longhorns. Hey, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right about that. The only reason to go back like a really long ways, Trey, the only reason that Baylor got into the Big 12 when it was formed in the early 90s and TCU did not is because there were enough Baylor grads on the board of directors for all the universities and for the Big 12 and in the state legislative house, and there weren't enough TCU grads. Don't tell me football ain't political.
This
TCU got kicked out.
All of this is.
That's right.
And there's a reason why TV execs have been in these presidential committee meetings as well. Like, stop. Like, we know what's going on. So to wrap up that part, I would expect something from this moment until the end of the week in regards to legislation. Then everybody can complain about it and argue about it on social media.
That's exactly right. You know what you can't argue about?
What's
good quality local beer is good for your health. It's science. It's science and math, Trey. Yazoo Brewing Company up in Madison, right north of the city. It takes less than 15 minutes to get there. It's super easy drive, a beautiful location. It sits on the Cumberland River. You're up on a bluff. You can sit on a park bench and drink a beer, eat a Grill Shack burger while your dog and your kids play in the background. It's wonderful. It's great. They got a new projection screen so that you can watch events coming up in the fall when football season gets rolling around here. But check out Yazoo Brewing Company up in Madison, Tennessee Brew Works in downtown, and East Nashville Beer Works on the east side of the town. So great locations, all of them, great beer, all of them, great food options, all of them. So really cool stuff. Make sure you go check them out. All right, let's get into these new coaches here.
I wanted to add something too about next week. There's going to be a little bit more of a conversation about the SEC and the Big Ten breaking off and setting up their own rule structure moving forward. Because the College Sports Commission is getting walked all over right now. I'm just letting you know what's coming next week. You're already seeing a little bit out of it out in Rancho Cucamonga, California. Well, yeah, I just
liked how you said that.
I think it's Rancho. It's actually not Rancho. It's Rancho something.
Yeah, you said you were talking about L.A., but you're from L.A. Just a different L.A.
Right. I'm from Lower Alabama.
Alabama. I hear you.
Where I'm heading tomorrow.
You and Julio Jones. Let's go.
Exactly.
I drive through that town.
And Jamarcus Russell.
I drive through Foley, Alabama all the time.
So, I'll be going through there tomorrow.
Yeah, attaboy. My vacation in a couple weeks is the other direction. I'm going to go. I'm cutting through Jon Sumrall's old stomping grounds. Like I like to go through Troy and Dothan, that direction. But I won't tell you where I'm going to the beach because the first rule of this location is that we do not talk about this location.
I know where you're going there.
We don't want people to be there. We don't want.
where you're going.
I don't want anybody else there.
Santa Rosa.
No, I want to shuck oysters and drink cold beer for a week and not see other humans that are not already in the house.
Okay. All right. Never mind. Okay.
Yeah.
I know where you go. We'll keep that a secret then.
Yeah,
but I will be going through Troy because that's like a way down there that takes a lot of time because I get behind a tractor on a 2-lane highway.
Dude, the route from Montgomery to Dothan is super fast. Like it's so quick. It's 4 lanes. You got high speed limit. It's good. I like that. And then you got to go through. Then you got to go through some swampland.
I got to get through the tractor part, and then I'm good.
That's right. All right. Speaking of Florida, the new coaches in the SEC. There are 6 new coaches in the SEC, and for some reason, Trey, I think most are not going to live up to what feels like insane expectations.
Probably not.
For almost all of them. And I've got all the schedules here, so we'll try to work our way through some of these schedules. I want to start with Arkansas, just not because of alphabetical, but because I think they're the easiest to analyze. I think their talent level of these 6 and maybe the entire conference is the worst. I don't know. I think the coach that they hired might be, I don't want to say the worst of the 6, but I think it's the least inspiring of the 6.
Least expiring is a better way to put it.
That's fair. And their schedule, frankly, even with Tulsa and North Alabama as wins in the non-conference, you go to Utah in the non-conference. You have to play Georgia, A&M, Tennessee, Texas, LSU, South Carolina, Missouri, Auburn, and Vanderbilt. I just think it sets up. The bye week is really late. They got to go 7 straight weeks to start the season. And they go at Utah week 2, Georgia week 3, at A&M, Tennessee by week 6. Like
I'm counting like 3 to 4 wins.
Dude, the last 5 games of their schedule are Missouri, Auburn, South Carolina, Texas, LSU. Like that's not. I think they could get one of those teams at home, Tennessee, Missouri, South Carolina, maybe. But like they have a brutal schedule. I don't love the coach.
And you said Tulsa in the non-con.
They have AJ Hill, who
That's
is
not a win.
AJ Hill was with Silverfield at Memphis, of course. He's a talented player, but he's only a true sophomore, and I think he only played like 2 games last year.
Yeah.
So that like this is like the over/under's 4.5. Like I see 3, maybe 4, and I don't even think I would be that harsh of a judge on Silverfield if they go 4-8 this season. I think that would be almost a compliment to Ryan Silverfield.
He's got to take care of the non-con besides Utah, and then he's got to sneak one out in the back half of that schedule, man. I don't know where it comes.
And one in the first half.
Yeah, I know that's the problem. I brought up Tulsa for a reason. You know what I mean? Like that's not going to be an easy game. Look,
2 wins is possible.
Ryan has just got to keep this thing afloat for the next year or so and see if they can start an infusion of cash because they got problems in Fayetteville. And I'm not trying to rehash the Alex Golesh stuff, but I would say Alex Golesh had the right mindset when he said, no, I'm good. The Auburn job's about to open.
And the Auburn job is a better job than Arkansas traditionally.
By
a fairly easy and noticeable gap. I mean,
but here's what I'm saying too. I am curious to see how a few Arkansas I'm trying to be careful with my words here. How a few Arkansas boosters react to the first year to see if they'll go a little bit more in depth when it comes to spending in the second year. That's what I'm getting.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. I think you need to prepare. Like I would hit the under, and I think you need to prepare for a pretty brutal year for Arkansas
and a lot of empty crowds.
I mean, I think 4 would be a good year, as I said. I think 3 is probably more likely. I would take the under. So we'll see. I do
like him, as a coach. I just think it's a bad situation in Fayetteville right now.
That's right. And again, it's never a good thing when you hire a coach and like a third of the fan base was happy to see that guy go. Like Memphis fans were not all that upset that Ryan Silverfield left, and that is a glaring statement.
It's also not good when one coach is reportedly hired and then you have to bring your expectations back down then you go hire.
Well, this isn't that complicated. Like it's so funny. Like everybody likes to think like all this not you, but like in general, it's like all this palace intrigue between Auburn and Arkansas and LSU and Kiffin and Sumrall and Florida. And it's like, no, every single one of them wanted the LSU job. LSU picked Kiffin. Then every single one of them wanted the Florida job. Florida picked Sumrall. Then every single one of them wanted the Auburn job. Like they just all worked systematically down the best candidates and the best jobs, and they all actually landed probably where they're supposed to be.
Jimmy and Trace did their jobs.
That's right. All right. I want to spend some time on Auburn because I'm fascinated, but this is a good comment here from Bo. Which is all new coaches will fail to live up to the lofty expectations, but Sumrall will do the best job. And personally, he's rooting for Will Stein. We'll get to Kentucky in a second. Auburn, which is Alex Golesh, of course, he's one of the other G5 coaches. There are 3 G5 coaches that are taking these jobs: Jon Sumrall, Golesh, and Silverfield. They are combined 100. They have 116 wins on their resume, and Sumrall by far the best record. Golesh actually has the worst record at 23-15, but he turned it all around at South Florida and then imported the entire offense with him to Auburn. Now their schedule, to me, I think there's opportunity here for Auburn. They're over under 6.5. I don't know if I would touch that because I think they're actually between 6 and 7 wins. But there's a lot of swing games on this schedule. And I don't know. The question is like, is Bynum Brown? Bynum Brown, not the Kentucky/LSU wide receiver. It is the quarterback SEC caliber? Is he good enough week in and week out to stay healthy and elevate those around him? I'm not saying he's not. I think he could be. But if you look at all these games, Baylor at home, swing game. Florida at home, swing game. Vandy at home, swing
Baylor's
game.
in Atlanta, by the way. But go ahead.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
No, you're good.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I'm not like at Tennessee, at Georgia, at Ole Miss, LSU. That's a brutal stretch in the middle there. Arkansas at home, that's when you should win. Mm-hmm. Mississippi State, Samford, those are games like the games they should be in, and where the games should be, because I think the offense will be fixed. The question is does he carry them to that extra score, that fourth quarter comeback, that big moment, that big play with his legs or otherwise? And I think this is a good season for Auburn. I think it's a 7-5 team if he's good in the fourth quarter. I think it's a 6-6 team if he's sort of just like a good group of 5 quarterback and an average to below average SEC quarterback.
You want to know what it could remind me of? And I'm not trying to draw the comparison between two quarterbacks, but remember when Alex Golesh was handed Hendon Hooker?
Yeah.
And you know,
he didn't handpick Hooker the way he handpicked Brown, though.
No, Hooker fell into his lap, because of Jeremy Pruitt. But I'm saying we were talking about quarterbacks coming from different conferences, you know what I mean, and doing something in the SEC.
But that's an ACC quarterback, though.
Okay, but go look. Okay, all right. I mean, we could go for days about this argument, but I don't disagree. I've seen enough from Bynum to think that he could have success in this system with Golesh at Auburn, with players around him. Like, trying not to get myself caught in a hole here.
Why?
The first 6 games of that season, like I see them winning that game in Atlanta against Baylor. In my personal opinion.
Baylor's sneaky good though.
I know.
But you could get Florida and Vandy at home. You can get them.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of getting at. Like I could find 3 wins out of that first 6, and then it sets up for an interesting back half. Like I don't know if you said the over under on win totals this year.
6.5 for Auburn. So they play 5 games, only one of which will be a true road game. So they'll play Baylor, Southern Miss, Florida, and Vandy. 3 at home, 1 neutral, and then at Tennessee. And I don't know what Tennessee is going to look like in that situation. I think they'll be favored in that game. But then they get the break. So they get to kind of regroup a little bit after 5 weeks. I think they get their bye earlier than almost any team in the SEC. But then they come back, and it's Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss, 2 on the road, which is real salty. But the last 4 sets up real nice with Arkansas, Mississippi State, Samford. And you could win all 3 of those, and then you go to Bama for the Iron Bowl, which could probably decide 6-6 or 7-5. So I think it really does come down to, does your quarterback do special things in key moments in swing games where it's close in the fourth quarter? And I know that's oversimplification, but that's how I feel about it.
It's also, can he get him out of trouble with that offensive line in that first year in Golesh's system? That's the other thing, too.
He's got the legs to do it.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. And he can make plays outside the pocket. He can throw the ball down the field. Like, there are opportunities for the Auburn offense to succeed this year. I am very curious on the defensive side that can hold up against some of these teams. That's what, because I don't know if they can get into a boat race with each team on that schedule, especially on the back half of that schedule. That's what would worry me. But I think the front half of that schedule.
Yeah. And I want to make sure I reiterate this. Like, I'm well aware that they played at South Florida last year, especially to start the season, both Florida and Miami. They won, obviously, one of those games where he played pretty well, and his numbers were kind of identical in those 2 games against Miami. Just Miami was a far better football team.
That
obviously,
like a 55-yard kick from La Greca to beat
Florida. They won 18-16 in week 2, and then went on the road to Miami and got just housed like 49-12, I think. They also
knew the Napier era was done.
Yeah, and they also hammered Boise State, which was a decent Boise State team in the first week. They went toe-to-toe with Navy late in the year.
Yep.
They put 63 on a North Texas defense that was pretty good. So, like, I'm not saying that Brown isn't capable of being a high-level SEC quarterback. In fact, if you're looking at sort of broad rankings of quarterbacks in the SEC, you're talking about the stars, like Chambliss and Gunnar Stockton and, Sam Levitt and John Mateer and, I'm forgetting some names. Arch Manning, Sellers, like that tier of established names. And then when you get to that middle tier, like, Brown might be the best one in that group.
Yeah.
Like, he might be clearly the best one in that group.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Especially know the other. Yeah.
Josh says, with several teams running this offense, defenses will likely defend it better with more looks at it. We'll see. I think you've got I think Heupel's adjusting his offense. I think Golesh has run a different version of Heupel's offense since leaving. So I don't think it's the same, unless that's not what you were talking about, Josh.
No.
I think Auburn is right at 6.5. Like, I wouldn't bet on this team, but I think they could be, by the end of the year, if they survive that brutal middle schedule, you go Arkansas, Mississippi State, Samford, you could gain a lot of momentum going into the Iron Bowl, and then who knows what happens in the Iron Bowl. So I just think they're going to gain momentum.
I don't disagree with you, and I do think that they hit the over this year.
And 7 wins, I think you look at Auburn and you go, all right, I see what you're doing. That's progress.
Dude, you'd have Jimmy Rain opening up the lumber bags if he gets to 7 wins.
Let's go Kentucky here, because I have a really weird feeling about Kentucky. Like, here's my thought. Like, they have a 4.5 over under. I really like Will Stein as a hire. I think they've got to change the offense.
Yeah.
And they've got a really tough schedule. And so I think Kentucky is one of those teams where it's like, if you get to 5 wins, hit the over, I think everything else is house money. I think you could finish the season 4-8, and and everyone feel better about the program, because the look of the offense with Kenny Minchie and sort of I just think people are going to feel more positively about this hire and about this program. Youngstown State, Bama, A&M, South Al, 2-2 to start. And you got South Carolina, LSU, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt. Those are all like none of those teams might be top tier, but LSU, Oklahoma are vying for playoff spots. So maybe you beat South Carolina and Vandy at best, and all of a sudden you're 4-4. Like, that would be an enormous season.
Yeah, I think they could get past South Alabama. So sorry, I had to. Yeah, I mean, it does set up for them.
I mean, they get the bye week.
Yeah, give me the back half.
So they get the bye week after those 8 I just laid out, and then they go Tennessee, Florida, Missouri, and Louisville. And while normally Tennessee, Florida, Missouri, Louisville sounds really hard, no breaks in there, all 4 are tough games. All 4 of those teams, in my opinion, might be outside of the top 10 of the SEC.
You could take 2 out of. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but you could take 2 out of those 3. Florida, Tennessee.
I mean, Tennessee might be the 11th or 12th best team in the conference.
Right. That's what I'm kind of getting at. Nobody knows what Tennessee's going to be like this year. So I'm sorry. Like, expectation-wise.
Missouri. Okay, so I think we did this the other week when we kind of ranked our programs. Like, I think I had Florida at like 9, Missouri at 10, and Tennessee at 11. Like, those are tough teams, good programs, good coaches. But, like, all of those games, if you get it right, you can compete in those games.
Absolutely. 100%. And I think Kentucky has the ability with the offensive side of the ball. I like Will Stein. I definitely like him as a play caller here in the situation. Like,
here's the problem, Trey.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah. Oh,
they do not play Texas and Georgia, which are the top 2 teams on paper right now, which is good for them. But they also do not play Mississippi State, Arkansas, or wait for it, Kentucky, which are the 3 worst teams in the conference. And so I just think they're going to have to win some. I think they're going to lose close games, but they're going to feel good about it. And we're going to finish at 4-8. They might hit the under, and everyone's going to go, but we're really excited still.
And I still think that they beat somebody that they're not supposed to.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, LSU and Lane Kiffin. Here's my thought on this. I think this might be the best team of any of these 6 new coaches. I think he's the best coach. They have a ruthless schedule. I do not know how it is possible for Lane Kiffin to realize his potential or the expectation and the pressure that's been put on him. I don't know how it's possible to live up to those expectations in year number 1. Am I wrong on this?
You damn well better. You better be in the playoff.
Or what?
you're going to have a very, very long. Here's the thing. Let's just shoot this darn thing straight right here. They didn't hire Lane Kiffin and pay him $90 million, then also put $45 to $50 million towards a roster for him to come out there and say, hey, we need patience. This is going to be a 2-3 year build. No, your ass signed up to win right now. And that's what the transfer portal is for. And if he's not in the conversation, you know what I always say about the conversation? First week of November, be in the playoff conversation. There's going to be folks
they'll be in the conversation, but they've got Bama, Texas, at Tennessee after the bye week in their final 4 weeks, and then they finish at Arkansas. You got to beat Clemson in week 1. You got to beat Clemson.
Oh, yeah.
And it does set, like, you beat Louisiana Tech, you go to Ole Miss in week 3, you got A&M and McNeese, and then you got Kentucky, Mississippi State, and Auburn. They're going to win a lot of games.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think they win the games they need to.
9-10 wins for me.
That's right.
For LSU this year.
I would hit the over on, they're 8.5. I would hit the over on LSU. And still think that people are going to view it as a disappointment when really in year number 1, you should not be 11-1 with that schedule.
Okay, but in year number 1, the only thing I go back to, man, is this is a different era here, man. I don't care that it's year 1 at LSU. I would care and have a different answer if it was Kentucky, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt. You know,
they've got
$47 million on a roster to win now, not win next year.
They've got the 3 worst teams in the conference in Auburn, Mississippi State, and Arkansas, and they play McNeese and Louisiana Tech, and they play Tennessee and Auburn, which are middle of the pack, sort of like just above 500-ish teams. There are a lot of wins on the schedule. It's Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Bama, and Texas. So if you in Clemson, so if you could go 3-2, maybe you do get to 10-2,
right?
And maybe that's a good enough playoff trip. I would lean towards 9-3, which is still the over for LSU.
Yes.
Okay.
I look. You know where I'm going with this. Like, I personally, 9-3, good year. You know what I mean? But
it's not good enough It's not good enough in 27.
It's also not good enough for your ROI. For what you've done with this and trying to continue this. That's what I'm getting. You got to get off to a good start. And I can't imagine what would happen if they lose to Clemson in that opening game.
But here's the other side of that coin.
And then go to Oxford and get beat.
If you somehow beat Ole Miss on the road.
Oh yeah.
And you've beaten Clemson at home, all of a sudden you got A&M coming to town and you're like feeling like you're the number 1 team in the nation at that point. So I'm not saying that really, really, really exceptional is not possible. I think it's possible. Kiffin's great. Sam Leavitt needs to be healthy. And then some of the holes they've got, like they've got to be able to run the football too. Like they just, like Alabama is a good team, but they're not a great team because they couldn't freaking run the football. So like there's still glaring problems with the team itself that need to be fixed for them to be considered an elite team. And I just don't think they're there in year 1. I think Kiffin will get them there, but I don't think they're there year 1.
Yeah, again, it's not just the Lane Kiffin factor as to why I'm saying they have to win these games. I'm saying what they did with the portal and bringing in players and the talent they had returning. That's why I have expectations for 9 wins this season.
So here's what's fascinating with Pete Golding at Ole Miss and Jon Sumrall at Florida, 2 very different paths to getting head coaching jobs. Jon Sumrall, sort of a coronation of a career that was building to this all along, and Pete Golding just sort of falling into it. Do you know that they play 6 of the same opponents in the SEC? They both, Florida and Ole Miss, they both play Texas, Georgia, they both play Missouri, they both play Vanderbilt, they both play Oklahoma, they both play Auburn, and they play each other. So 7 games are identical in theory, with the Florida Ole Miss game, which will be in Gainesville in week 4, maybe deciding a lot of things for both of these teams. Ole Miss, of course, will play LSU and Mississippi State, while Florida will play South Carolina and Kentucky. So Florida's schedule is better than Ole Miss's. Florida's schedule is loaded with winnable football games.
Yes.
This is their at Auburn, Ole Miss, at Missouri, South Carolina. That's the first 4. They could be favored in all 4 of those games, minus maybe the Ole Miss game.
4. That's 4 wins.
Then they have Texas and Georgia, so I'm just going to give them losses in those 2 games with a bye week in between, which is a good time for bye week.
I would actually I would actually give them one out of those two.
I don't think they beat Texas or Georgia. Okay, and then they go Oklahoma, Kentucky, and Vanderbilt.
Georgia's in Oxford, though, correct? They're not going back to.
Well, they don't play Georgia in Oxford. That'd be weird. I'm talking about Florida, bro.
Oh no. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought we were comparing the. I thought we were comparing Sumrall and Pete Golding.
Yes. Their schedules are identical, with the exception of Ole Miss is a little bit more complicated in the conference.
Right, and Florida's playing Georgia in Atlanta.
And the game, even the Ole Miss Florida game, is in Gainesville.
Correct.
So the two of them, that game could decide. Ole Miss has a great season or misses the playoffs.
Right.
Florida has a great season or is disappointing because of the Ole Miss Florida game, and then they play 6 other like opponents that are identical. Okay. I think so. I think Florida will go Auburn, Ole Miss, Missouri, South Carolina to start. They could be favored in all of those games other than Ole Miss. Then they go Texas, Georgia. I'm going to give them losses in both of those games with a bye week in between. Then they finish Oklahoma, Kentucky, Vandy. Those are 3 games they could also win, and the Oklahoma game is at home. Florida's schedule is loaded with winnable games. I don't think they're good enough to do it all, but they are almost every game outside of Texas and Georgia, they are going to have an opportunity to win. So how good is Jon Sumrall? How quickly can they get good? I love Buster Faulkner. I love wins. Philo. I'm going up. I'm going higher.
No, I'm just laying that as the floor.
Oh, well, that's not, you got to say that.
Okay. The floor. I look, I think
7.5 is the over under.
I think the offense can be proficient this year. I think the defense has the ability. They're going to be able to run the football. I think Jon Sumrall is a better in-game coach than Billy Napier. No offense.
Well,
it's not hard to.
You can't have 2 players wearing the same number on special teams.
I knew where you were going with that. I look there. The game in Atlanta really does nothing for me. The Georgia-Florida game.
I know. It's a bummer. It's a bummer.
They should have done it on campus for 2 years, but that's just my personal opinion.
It's just not that interesting.
No, it's not.
Now, if Florida overachieves and they beat a team like Ole Miss at home, and Georgia's all of a sudden they're
residency at Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
I mean, Florida could be 6-1 though going into that game, coming off a bye. Like that could be a good spot for Florida, but they also could lose. They could also lose a few games. Again, Oklahoma,
Missouri
Kentucky,
game would scare me a little bit too.
Of course, on the road, and that's always a really Florida, Missouri play weird games. Like no question. Yeah. I look at Auburn and I go, it's swing games. With Florida, it's winnable games, and I think there's a little bit of a subtle difference there. Where one game I look at with Auburn and I go, that's 50-50. With the other one, it's like, man, if Florida is as good as we think they are,
yes,
this is a game they probably win. And sure, they're not going to win all of them, but like, I mean, I'm not opposed to going crazy and being like, 8 or 9 wins. It's not out of the question for Florida.
And again, we're not saying Florida is going to be in some CFP contention, but we are saying that Florida has the ability to shock some folks this year that might think this is a 2-3 year rebuild. I think they have enough talent to wreak some chaos in the SEC this year.
So that brings us to Ole Miss. They got to go. They got to play. They got Louisville, which should be, if they're as good as they were under Kiffin, they win that game. You got LSU at home. That's going to be an enormous game for like every human on earth.
Bro, I already booked my hotel in Tupelo.
If they don't play well in that LSU game, though, they then immediately go to Florida the next week, and that is a letdown alert written all over it.
That's a double whammy.
Then they take a breather, but then they go Vandy, Mizzou. Okay, tough but winnable. At Texas, brutal. Auburn, Georgia, Oklahoma. That's pretty tough, but Auburn at home, you should win that game.
Take 2 out of 3.
And then you finish with Oklahoma, Wofford, Mississippi State. So like they're going to be good.
Yes.
The question is for me, can Chambliss and Lacey, can they overcome the loss of Kiffin in this particular year? And I think they can, but I would not pick them to make the playoffs and go 10-2 with that schedule. I think it's the Florida game, Trey. I think the Florida game decides their playoff fate. If they win in Gainesville, it's because they probably beat LSU, which means they're probably going to make the playoff at that point. But if they lose to LSU, they're losing to Florida. And if they lose that Florida game, I don't think they make the playoffs.
Here, I'll look at it. If they beat LSU and Oxford, I think they make the playoffs just off that game.
Because they still have Texas and Georgia.
I know.
After that,
see, you can drop 2.
No, I hear you. But then you got to go to
you're what I'm and you already kind of hinted at this, but you're setting yourself up with that early portion of the schedule where you really need
you better be on it.
Right. That's what I'm getting at, because you can probably catch 2 strays towards the back half of that would end up hurting you. But having those wins earlier in the season, like
even with a win over LSU and a loss to Texas and Georgia, you still have to go to Florida and win, to Oklahoma and win, and to Vandy and win. Then you got to beat Missouri, Auburn, and Mississippi State at home. You got to win all those games to get back to the playoff. If they lose to Florida, so here's the thing. Florida and Ole Miss, 7.5 is their win total. Vegas is telling you Ole Miss is not going to be as good. Right. 7.5 is low.
Right.
I would take the over, but I think the Florida game is what keeps them out of the playoff, I think.
That's for an Ole Miss team that has 2 Heisman candidates on their roster.
Yeah.
But here's the tipping point of it all. If Ole Miss rolls up into your 6-1-5 and loses to Louisville on that Sunday night, dude.
Week 1.
Talk about the air just getting sucked out of the balloon.
I love Braum and I love that Louisville team. They're very good, but I don't know if they're that good.
I agree with you. Yeah. I agree with you. Crazy things happen in first games of the year.
You're right. And I don't believe, I personally don't think Pete Golding is the long-term answer at Ole Miss.
Especially playing that dump they call Nissan Stadium.
Old Nissan Stadium.
Old Nissan Stadium.
The new Nissan Stadium, a.k.a. the world's largest Whole Foods, will be awesm.
That does look like a Whole Foods. I'm not going to lie, man. It's so weird looking at it from above.
It does. All right. There's the deal. Here's what I think. I think it's almost impossible for Ole Miss and LSU to live up to expectations. I think Auburn and Florida could go above expectations to some degree. I like Florida more than Auburn. I think Arkansas is in for a really nasty season. And I think Kentucky's season will look bad on paper, but will look a lot better on the field. And so I think I'm kind of like hey, let's see what happens, Kentucky. I'm not.
That's kind of where I'm at with Kentucky too. I love everything that I've heard coming out of Kentucky over the last 5 months, but that only goes so far. So, I think Will Stein is going to be fine. Yeah. Not trying to rhyme. In Lexington.
Bars, dog.
No, but I do. So, I mean, you set it up pretty nice there with the teams. I think out of Florida and Ole Miss, I give Ole Miss a little bit of the advantage there to hit the over when it comes to maybe a more successful season. But that's just where we sit here now on May 19th. Anything can happen,
I think it's a fascinating group of coaches. You have 3 G5s that have won over 100 games coming in. You got Kiffin making the transition inside the league. You got an elevated coordinator, and then you have a first-timer renovating the offense for the first time at Kentucky. It's just a really interesting group of coaches.
And you got Kalen DeBoer trying to figure out which damn quarterback's going to lead them out of the tunnel.
And really, really proud programs. LSU, Florida, Auburn are championship caliber programs. Ole Miss thinks it's a championship caliber program. These are big-time programs. Little Arkansas and Kentucky. You guys will be okay. All right. Trey, what do you got coming up? You want to promote anything? Outkick, Fox Sports, Fox News, News Corp, whatever?
Just political stuff. That's it. No. Well, we've got you covered with what's going on the Hill. They're going to present some kind of act this week. It just won't be the score act. And then definitely we will I have a fun piece coming on Jared Curtis on Friday, actually, about how he recruited Vanderbilt and not the opposite way around.
Speaking of governors from Texas.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
Rick Perry have anything to do with Jared Curtis going to Vanderbilt?
No.
Oh, you sure? You sure?
Stop trying to give away things.
His son is at Vanderbilt.
Yes, I know this.
Was I not supposed to say that?
And Mark Cuban's kid was at Vanderbilt. We could go on and on about this. John Calipari's kid's a doctor at Vanderbilt. No, but it'd be a fun piece. And then obviously heading south and going to make my way over to Florida for what should be an interesting SEC spring meetings.
Enjoy 30A, my guy. Just make
sure I won't even touch the beat.
Bring some East Nashville Beer Works with you. Yep. Bring some Yazoo, some Tennessee Brew Works. Take those shoes off. Let those puppies breathe at the end of the day and just drink some cold beer on the beach. All right? Will you do that for me?
I'll tell Greg you said hello.
Yeah, that's fine. Tell Chuck I said hi.
I'll tell Chuck. Yeah, that's probably the better way.
All right. Thank you guys all for listening and hanging out, for being in the comments. You guys are great. YouTube, thumbs up, notifications turned on. Go drink local beer from Nashville, guys. Please do that. They're great local companies. Please support them as well. For Trey, I'm Braden. Thanks for listening and hanging out. We'll talk to you next time.